The city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I want she and she.
So we at Taco Bell, right? Everything cool, right? I go order me a blue freezy. A blue freezy. This boy tell me somebody stole my $10 in gym class. I can't pay for it. What? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? You ain't got $2? You ain't got $2?
The city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I want she and she.
Okay, now before I share the story, I just want to, this is a no judgment zone. This is a I'm being open with you guys. Look, I don't judge people for putting ranch on pizza. Please do not judge me for what I'm about to tell you. Okay, look, so back when I was younger, I had no money, but I wanted to go on a date really bad. So I put all my money into the movie ticket, right? And I told her, I'm like, hey, don't worry, I can get us the snacks. Just wait real quick, right? I'd slide into a movie theater that just got out. I would take a popcorn bucket. I would empty it out and then get to the front and be like, hey, can I get a refill? You know, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, boom. Then what I would do is I'd find large drinks in the trash. Wait, right? I would drop them on the ground and be like, hey, I just dropped my drink. Can I get a new drink, please? And they'd be like, yeah, what did you have? I'm like, oh, a high seafood punch. And I do that for 2 drinks. So I just got popcorn and 2 drinks for us and a movie. The date didn't go well, but still, hey,
This is the one that I have been waiting for. So this happened like 7 years ago. I was talking to this guy. He was military. He asked me on a date. He thought I was so beautiful. And while we're talking, I let him know, hey, you know, just so you know, I'm not trying to catfish anybody. I'm a big girl. And he's like, no, you're beautiful. And I'm like, well, I didn't say I was ugly, but I am a big girl. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, I'm just letting you know. And he's like, yeah, I love big girls. Yeah, bring it on, girl. Let's go on a date. So he asked me to Applebee's and I'm like, fuck yeah, free food. I'm gonna eat that shit. And I'm grateful. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a date. Cool. So we go on this date. I don't have a car at that time. I have to get dropped off. Whatever. He had some reason why he couldn't pick me up and I was fine with it. So I get there and as soon as I see him, he has a glass of water and he gives me this look. And I'm like, okay, hi, nice to meet you. You know, he's like, I hope you brought your own money because I can't afford to buy you anything. I was like, well, I wasn't, gonna get anything expensive. Like I might get, like an appetizer. He's like, no, I can't buy you anything. As you see, I'm holding a glass of water. I can't even buy myself anything. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, maybe I'll get a drink too. And he's like, yeah, you have to buy your own drink too. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So I do. And in the middle of the conversation, he interrupts me and he says, no offense, but you're a lot bigger than I thought you were going to be. I feel like you kind of misled me. I said, I told you I was a big girl. He was like, yeah, I mean, you kind of did, but I was misled. And I was like, okay. So I'm so uncomfortable and I'm trying to change the subject and trying to make the remaining of this interaction somewhat pleasant. It's not. He's rude the whole fucking time. He's a dick. He keeps making comments about my weight. My feelings are hurt. So I start to shut down a little bit. Finally, it's time to go home. And he's like, come on, come with me. So we go to his car and he starts driving down the street. And then I'm talking, to normal shit. And he starts going like, and I'm like, what? He says to me, well, you gonna give me head or what? I'm sorry, what? And I said, no, I'm not gonna give you head. And I went off. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You have been an asshole this entire time. You have been talking about my weight and all kinds of shit. You've been rude. Like, what the fuck? What is your problem? I'm not giving you head. And he's like, okay, fuck you. You can find your own ride home. And he drives back to Applebee's, tells me to get out of his car, and I have to call my family to come pick me up and take me home. Big yikes.
The city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I want she and she.
I took him to my family Christmas party and he begged to hold on to my $250 in his pocket. He wasn't even gonna spend it. We weren't even going to the store. He just wanted to hold it in his pocket so that it made him feel better. And then he got upset because when we went in the house, I didn't introduce him to anybody and I didn't make his plate. And my mom sat me to the side and was like, hey, Krista, you're supposed to make his plate. Like, that's what a woman does. But why would I make a plate for somebody I don't respect? I shouldn't even made a plate for myself. I obviously don't respect her either because why was I dating him?
The city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I wanna see.
Okay, let's get into it. So this one time I went on a brunch date, and all was going well until it was time to pay the bill. Check drops on the table, and this man looks at me and says, "So, since you suggested the restaurant, you're going to be taking care of the bill, right?" And I was super caught off guard, so I just asked him, like, "Okay, do you want to at least split it or something?" And in all seriousness, he was like, "No. I don't have any money. I have, like, no money to pay for this meal. So you're gonna have to pay for it." And he had a full-time job, so I don't know if he was lying or what the situation was, but there was a lot of people around, and I didn't want to cause a scene, so I just put my card on the table. And unfortunately, that's not the worst part, but I'm out of time, so go to part 2. Part 2 of the broke boy story. So after I put my card down, he moves the server book towards him and takes my card out of it and goes to, like, put it in his wallet. And I'm like, what do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing? And he says, "I'm gonna take your card and put it in my wallet so when the server walks by, I can pull it out and pretend like I'm the one paying for the meal so that you don't embarrass me." At that point, I was so fed up, I snatched it right out of his hand. And I told him, "No, if you have the audacity to take someone out on a date with absolutely no money and basically scam me into paying for your meal, best believe I am going to make that known." And that's exactly what I did. I handed the server the book with my card on top, and I said, "Thank you very much," and he looked upset.
The city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I wanna see. And
So I was married to this guy, and he decided that we should go 50-50 on everything. And we had children, and we both had full-time jobs. So when we would come home from work, he would kick off his shoes, lay back, relax, watch TV, while I would go in the kitchen and cook dinner, clean up, do laundry, help kids with homework, help them get in the bath and ready for school tomorrow, and still wanted me to be able to perform in the bedroom at night. That doesn't sound very much like 50-50. Ladies, it's a scam. Don't fall for it.
the city is my palace. What I'ma do? Cause I wanna see and see.
This is gonna be so embarrassing. I was like 19, okay, so give me a break. But I was on Tinder, and I started talking to this guy. And he was so deep. He was like, "Oh, no way. Like, I was literally about to delete the app, and then I saw that we matched. And I was literally about to get on my plane, and I messaged you right before I got on my plane. I had to turn my phone into airplane mode, blah, 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 blah." He was like, "This is destiny. This is God putting us together." And I was like, okay. So we plan a date, for dates. My dress, my high heels, my designer bag, hair, makeup, period. So I show up to his apartment. Don't recommend. I would later dissect this date and tell you guys what I would and wouldn't do. But I went to his apartment. He opens the door, and he is literally in sweats. Check out part 2. So I open the door, and he's wearing his dusty sweats, and I think, okay, maybe he's gonna change, right? I try to keep calm, and then he's like, "Oh, come in." So I come in, which I don't recommend. So we sit in the living room, and then his crusty dog gets on me. And I was wearing a white dress. And then he's like, "Oh, come in here," into his room. So I did, which I don't recommend. And then this dusty ass was trying to trick me into staying and watching TV with him instead of going and eating and going to the movies, which we said that we were going to do. So since I was stupid and I was 19, I sat there and I watched 2 episodes with him. But then I was like, you know what? No. And I got up and I was like, okay, what are we doing? Like, I didn't come here to watch TV. Like, you think I'm going to stay in looking like this? So he was like, "Oh, you want to go eat?" And I was like, yeah. So we walk outside and he's like, "Let's take your car." And now I'm pretty sure that this guy didn't have a car. So we take my car. We get to a sushi place. We're having a conversation or whatever. The bill comes, and he doesn't have his wallet. So I'm like, ugh, the dust, And we go back to his apartment so he could grab money so we could go to the movies. So he gets out. I literally jump seats, and I'm like, I have to go home. And he's like, wait, but what about the movies? I was like, no, there's no way. There's no way I can spend one more second with you. Oh yeah, not to mention, he literally wore those same dusty sweats to the sushi place. Like, he literally didn't even change. But he was like, oh, let me pay you back. And I was like, no, bye. Shoo. I thinged my window up and I left. And literally 2 years after, this guy was still trying to hit me up. He would call me all the time. He would text me all the time. I blocked his number, and then he got a new number, and he was like, hey, this is Java. Yeah, that's his name. So if anybody hits you up whose name is Java, no. Mm-mm. Thankfully, that is the brokest thing a guy has ever done. But, like, how dare he? How dare he? I'm still so embarrassed. I feel dirty about it.
The city is my palace.
If you've ever dated a cheap person, you know why you'll never date one again. In my last year of college, I started dating this guy. I was working full-time at the time and a full-time student. He was not working, but he had money saved up from his finance internship in New York the summer before. Regardless, because he wasn't working, I was paying for stuff for him all the time. He convinced me to buy him a flight to visit my family in San Diego from Boston. He never took me on dates. If we went on dates, we were splitting it. We both moved to New York, not for each other, both for our career. He's working in finance, making probably 10 or 15K more than me. One weekend, my first weekend in New York, I go out with one of my best girlfriends from work. We have the best time. I'm really sensitive to alcohol, so I'm violently hungover in the morning. He's been blowing my phone up all night, all morning. He wants to come over. I'm like, yeah, come over, but could you bring me Gatorade and saltines? I'm like really sick, throwing up. He brings me the Gatorade and saltine, and on his way out of my house that day, he Venmo charged me $9 for the Gatorade and saltine. That was the end of that.
The city is my palace. What I'ma do? 'Cause I want she and she.
So we can laugh about it now, but I used to date or entertain some fucking duds. So anyway, I was dating this guy and we went to a gas station. And when we were walking in, he was like, let me hold your debit card. I didn't think anything of it. So we go in and I'm getting ready to pay for gas, and he pulls out my debit card and is like acting like it's his. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then he's like, do you want a drink? Do you want any snacks? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Because now I'm like really confused as to like why you're offering me shit with my card. And he says, you know, anything you want. Like anything you want out of here. You know, my girl, I take care of my girl. And I'm like, with my own fucking car, bro?
What is something people are not ready to hear? I'll go first. The public school system is